Good morning, I'm Robert Tan. From your wallet to the wider economy, join us as we follow the money. AI is reshaping the world and the Philippines is running out of time to catch up. Today we find out who's winning, who's losing, and what it really takes to survive the AI revolution. And joining us this morning is Rey Lugtu. He advises the country's biggest corporations on AI and digital transformation and teaches the next generation of business leaders at Salle University. Good morning, Rey, and welcome to Follow the Money.
Good morning, Robert. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Just for you, we're not AI.
Yeah, we're real people.
We're real. Okay, Rey, let's start with this. You know, the world's most powerful economies now treat AI the way once they treated nuclear technology as a matter of national security. Now, what does that geopolitical arms race mean for a country like the Philippines, who's kind of new to AI?
Yes, that's true, Robert. No, there's an AI arms race, which is being fought between the Western world and China. In fact, Anthropic and DeepSeek are now competing, and they're trying to outwin each other. Where is the Philippines here? We are an observer here right now. We are not even a participant. In fact, we're one of the victims. Talk about cyber breaches. We've seen attacks in the websites. So one of the things that we need to do is to become a participant here. When look for AI use cases in public service. Government. There's a lot of opportunities there. In healthcare, in agriculture, in education. That's how we can participate in this arms race. So we cannot secure our future if we don't learn how to use AI as a country.
And adapt fast. Because the argument there is that there's so many platforms, you have ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, and all these Gemini, and all these AI platforms. But yet, are you seeing that, even as a tool, are we really using it properly? How is it being done here in the country in terms of those using it individually, those using it in corporations?
As a tool, yes, it's being used. In fact, a PIDS study last year, I think, it cited 15% usage. But if you remove BPO and ICT sector, it becomes 3%. So the usage is there, but it's not widespread. It's not widespread. You talk about countryside usage. That's even nil. So usage is limited to corporates, to even education. And if we use it, we're not using it properly. We were talking about the use of AI in education. Even schools right now are not teaching our students how to use AI properly. We're just leaving them to use AI on their own.
Bahala na kayo.
Bahala na, Pero behind the back of our heads as teachers, we know they're using AI, but we're not teaching them properly. And there's opportunity there. We need to teach them properly so they can maximize the output from these tools.
Because you've been teaching this, Rey, you've also sat inside boardrooms of this country's biggest corporations. Now, strip away the press releases, the pilot projects. What is the honest state of AI readiness in the Philippine business community today?
This is interesting. I did a roundtable with top executives in Philippines, and my personal finding is that everyone is curious. Everyone is starting only. Everyone is experimenting. And the funny thing about this, the experimentation is limited to the tool usage, not even the programming level. Leave alone the creating models. So even the tools, we're just experimenting on the usage of these tools and maximizing the usage of these tools. We haven't even touched the platforms available now. What we know now as companies are AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude. But all the platforms that are available now, talk about tools on marketing tech, tools about API integration. All these platforms are now AI enabled. We haven't touched those. We haven't really fully
integrated na sila.
Integrated na, So kailangan maintindihan natin how to integrate all of these because it's coming, and many companies are unaware that it is integrated. And how do you now make sure that your data is clean? Ingested properly by these tools, and you maximize the value from that.
You've mentioned experimentation. Let's say someone if you ask, let's say, one particular question, and you place it in ChatGPT, you put it in DeepSeek, you put it in Claude, would they churn out the same answer or different? So how would we know that what's being seen or answered by these different AI platforms are correct?
Yes, so this is one thing that we need to learn. No? The very basic that we need to learn is prompt engineering. It became popular early last year. No? When ChatGPT was widespread. So these AI platforms, they do not churn out the same answers.
Yes.
Because they're built using different models. They're trained with different data. No? Ako, I use ChatGPT for text. No? Right? I use Perplexity for credible citations. I use Gemini for image creation. So different specialization happening for different AI tools. No?
So for somebody who's not really ready, who's not really educated with AI, they might think, oh, I'll use ChatGPT, whatever the answer is, okay na yan.
Yes,
is that a dangerous way to see it?
Yes, it is dangerous because it's a battle for the share of mind. No? Right now, Anthropic, Claude, and ChatGPT, OpenAI are battling it off. No? To get the biggest mind share and even revenue share across consumers and enterprises. So what's becoming clear now is battle between Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini is taking over. So there will be different strengths and weaknesses of each model. No? When people think about ethical use of AI, ethical output, people want to use Claude because Claude is known for ethical quality control. No? Right? So that's the mantra of the founders of Claude. No? We're checking the output. No, it's ethical. No? It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't cite any inappropriate content. No?
So you really have to vet and just not rely on the first answers that comes out. Because also one argument also is that right now people can use all these platforms for free, but there's limits to what it can do. But if you have the paid account of that particular platform, mas malawak yung thinking.
Correct.
So again, is that a danger also? Because pag free, how are we sure that what we're getting is the right one?
Yeah, this is a great discussion I had with a government agency. We're teaching them how to use AI properly. The free version, like for example, ChatGPT, the free and paid, they churn out the same output. But these tools are limited by the tokens, and the memory that you utilize. Of course, they need to make money. They use large data centers. So there's a limit to what you can upload. For example, you can upload files, analyze files. There's a limit to that. If it's free. So that's the only limitation. Then you wait the next day. You sleep and then wait, you can use it again.
Yeah.
But in terms of basic usage, like crafting emails, summarizing content, those things you can do. In fact, almost unlimited because it only utilizes text. It becomes heavy when you upload files, analyze large data sets. Then it becomes limited. But the quality is still the same.
It's still the same.
Yeah.
Now, the church also has warning signs. Even Pope Leo XVI just told the world that AI needs to be disarmed. It's very strong words. Now, warning that it threatens human dignity, labor, and justice. Now, as someone who advises corporations on AI adoption and someone who also teaches in schools about AI, do you agree with the Pope's sentiments?
Yeah.
It's very strong words.
Yeah. Yes, I agree that it should be disarmed if the definition of being disarmed is removing the mindset, our mindset that AI has the right to take over people. So, but it doesn't mean that we reject AI. We should actually embrace AI. Right? We just reject that AI will automatically replace people. Right, without regard to their jobs, to their welfare.
But we are seeing that happening.
We are actually seeing that, and this is going to be a natural course. We've seen this in
the price we pay for technology, right?
Yes, so in the cycle of technology, we've seen that. In the UK, when machinery in the
automation
happened in the 18th century. There were loss of jobs in the automation, during computerization. There were loss of jobs. But eventually, jobs are catching up. So ultimately, the gain will be positive. That's the based on historical facts.
We also see AI accelerating inequality between nations, industries, and companies. Now, who in the Philippine business is quietly winning right now, and who is sleepwalking toward irrelevance?
Right. So companies that are winning in the AI race now in Philippines are those with organized data, with clean data, with large amounts of data that they can use to reach digital channels.
Yeah.
And we see this across banks, big retail, the big conglomerates still. But if we talk about SME, there's also happening some applications there. So what's being left behind are the medium-sized companies and the smaller companies.
Now you mentioned the MSMEs that are not catching up that quick. But here in the Philippines, the MSMEs is the backbone of the economy. Around almost 90% of the businesses are the small businesses, the MSMEs. But again, most can't afford the AI platforms or transformation into the digital space. Now, what is that gap? How can we catch up? How can we help the small businesses, which we see as the backbone of the economy?
Right. Well, there's a few startups now in the Philippines that are commendable when it comes to helping MSMEs. One of them is, one friend of mine who owns Packworks. They provide AI-enabled ERP across sari-sari stores. And I chanced upon their study conducted last year. They surveyed 300 stores, sari-sari stores, and they experienced growth in efficiency and even increase in sales by just using AI recommendations. So simple recommendations, what products to sell, what products to stock. That means a lot for sari-sari stores. So we're seeing that in small sari-sari stores. The problem now is reach, because sari-sari stores are widespread.
Yes.
How do we reach them in the islands, in the boondocks?
Yes. How can we make them adopt?
Correct. And another problem, Robert, is connectivity.
It's very hard because we're spread out in more than 7,000 islands. So that's also one thing, a big hurdle for a country like ours. But Ray, we still have much to discuss. We haven't really scratched the surface yet. A very interesting discussion on AI, but we'll continue this discussion after the break. Keep following the money. Welcome back to Follow the Money. You're still tuned into our conversation with Rey Lugtu, founder and CEO of Hungry Workhorse, a consulting firm specializing in digital transformation and business strategy. Now, Ray, we were talking about how AI is really trying to take over the workforce. Here in the Philippines, we have a young, service-oriented workforce. In jobs, AI is already automating. So we've seen people losing their jobs. But beyond BPO, which Filipino workers are most at risk? And are government and businesses doing enough to lessen the effects?
Yes, that's correct, Robert. So BPO companies, especially global shared services, they're already automating from 20 teams down to 5 teams. We're seeing that. But across
Kasi customer service, AI na rin minsan.
Yes, our customer service, alam mo, marami ng AI, voice AI.
Yes.
It's removing the collection.
You don't know, are you really talking to a real person or AI?
That's correct. So, and a lot of companies already adopted this voice AI. And it mimics dialects. It already replacing a lot of collection agents. All menial jobs are in danger, like collection agents, clerks. These are in danger. But what is government doing? So, there's a government launched an AI campaign to teach and enable. But beyond seminars, there has to be actual use cases, actual usage. We're in teaching. I teach. We're familiar with the taxonomy of learning. 10% you learn from from training, 20% from coaching, 70% on the job.
Yes.
We have to focus on the job. So we have to, bring our people, students, graduates, to companies, to internship, to actually use. And not only prompt engineering, probably AI programming. There's a lot of opportunities to create apps out of AI right now.
Now, Rey, you're reshaping the next generation of business leaders at De La Salle. Now, are Filipino MBA graduates equipped to lead in an AI-driven economy? Is it being taught enough in universities and also in graduate schools?
It's not it's not part of grad school, but there are already policies on the use of AI. But it's not being taught as part of how to use AI. For example, I teach strategy. So I know that students use AI to write reports, but we're not teaching them how to use it properly.
Properly, yes.
Right. On the other hand, DAP, Development Academy of the Philippines, commissioned us to teach the Congress and Senate staff on how to craft strategy using AI. And that is a big difference. You can craft a strategy from scratch using AI, create SWOT, alternatives, even risk management and balance scorecard through AI, everything. But we're not teaching this.
Okay. Now, even before the advent of AI, Rey, you've been a teacher in universities. We've seen, graduates, there's a big gap between the number of graduates and the number of jobs available in the market. Now, is AI and technology widening that gap?
Yes, it is widening, but we will not feel it in the Philippines because there's schools already offering AI courses. Similar to what we saw, Robert, years ago when data analytics was growing. Do you remember that? Data analytics was fashionable. All schools are offering that now. Now, all schools want to offer AI. And what will happen to those graduates? The first question is, are the content at par with global standards? The second question, will they find jobs with what they learn? And we saw in the story of data analytics, they cannot find jobs because the content in here, because companies, when they hire them, the expectation is different. They cannot apply. The industry is different from what was taught in theory.
Is that going to cause another problem that since there's no jobs out here for those who are learning this, they'll go outside?
Yes, it will happen. But again, we have to have the right content for how we teach our students. And so the content that we should teach our students, like analytics or AI, should be at par. Technology moves fast, and teachers and schools are not able to cope with this fast pace. So that's the problem. Education is slow, but the demands of industry is fast.
Yes. So kailangan na i-balance yan. We have to step up.
Correct. So dito papasok, Robert, yung kailangan meron linkage with private companies.
Yes.
So meron teaching, kailangan meron kang internship. Meron kang...
That's always been the gap, the communication between schools and the businesses that, who are the ones hiring.
Right.
Because we churn out graduates every year. Kawawa naman, unemployment rate is growing.
Yeah, that's correct. So merong disconnect. Pero isa pang culprit dito, Robert, yung executives in companies. So while we're teaching these young kids, yung executives, they're not literate. So, they will hire. Once they hire, hindi nila alam ang papagawa. So, we also need to teach our leaders, and it goes to the board, by the way.
Marami rin.
It goes to the board. Kasi it goes to the board level. Yes, that's correct. So, di ba, you're producing advanced graduates, pero pag nilagay mo na sila sa industry, the executives, they do not know how to use them.
Okay.
Right.
Now, there's a global debate right now on whether AI creates wealth or simply concentrates it. Now, how do we ensure today that productivity gains from AI and they just don't flow upward away from workers and just towards shareholders? As always the saying goes, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and those who want to get into the workforce aren't able to.
Yeah, there's a lot of education that needs to be done across industries. Students, industries, SMEs, MSMEs. We need to teach them, not simple tools, but teach them really how to use AI for to improve processes, to increase revenue top line by reaching more customers. Not just typing emails, summarizing reports.
We still have a long way to go. You've mentioned, you've used the butterfly as a metaphor for AI maturity, but butterflies can be fragile, so to speak. Now, what is the single biggest mistake a Philippine company makes once it believes it has transformed or matured?
Well, I think when the organization believes that the adoption of AI tools is widespread, then they are mature. That is a wrong perception. We have to see the impact of AI in processes, in how you reach markets, in how you create new products. We have to see the application of AI there, not in crafting emails, not in cleaning databases. It has to be felt by business.
30 minutes is not long enough to discuss AI. I wish we had more time. But Ray, before we let you go, we have this portion called rapid fire questions. You just have to answer yes or no. No need to explain your answer. Let's start with this. Will AI eliminate more Philippine jobs than it creates within the next 5 years?
No.
And is the Philippine government ready for the AI revolution?
No.
No? Should AI be regulated the way we regulate nuclear weapons? Yes or no? No?
No.
You don't think it has to be?
No. Not as nuclear weapons.
Okay. Now, can a Filipino MSME survive the next decade without adopting AI? Yes or no?
No.
Is AI already smarter than the average corporate board in the Philippines? You've mentioned executives. Yes or no?
Well, it's still a no.
No.
Still a no.
Okay. Will AI ultimately make humanity lazier, and are we okay with that?
Yes, we are lazier. No, we're not okay with that.
And finally, Ray, as someone who has seen AI transformation up close across industries, how do you follow the money?
Well, we have to see the value of AI. We have to look at unit economics. How does AI result in efficiency gains? Cost the reduction so we follow that money. And then how do we see AI add revenue top line? And so how does it translate to acquiring new customers? So that's how we follow the money. So we have to be conscious of how to measure the impact of AI in big organizations.
Still a long road ahead on that, Ray. But on that note, thank you very much for joining us this morning, sharing your insights, and good luck in teaching the students, our next generation, on the proper use of AI. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all for today. I'm Robert Tan. Thanks for watching. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel, and always follow the money.